I'd like to call to order the meeting of Munhall Borough's workshop for November 12th, 2024. The Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to start the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for attending. Missy, would you like to start with a call to order?
Sure. Councilwoman Fry? Here. Councilman Youngkin?
Here.
Councilman Shields?
Here.
Vice President Honda?
Here.
President Brennan?
Here.
Councilman Eads?
Present.
Councilman Bodadian? Mayor Foss?
Here.
Borough Manager David Ty?
Here.
Chief Fuller?
Here.
Chief Coles?
Here.
Mr. Vicey?
Here.
Mr. Cannon?
Here.
Here.
I'm looking right at you. We are all here.
All right, great. Okay, do we have any presenters tonight to speak? Any public comments on item agendas? Okay, and let's move on to...
If I may. So I don't know if this is going to have to come down to a vote or not, but I was talking with Michelle Fisher today, and she wanted to know if we are going to allow her next year to use Mayor Foss's room to take care of the veterans.
I have no problem with
Do we get a vote on it?
that. No,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we have to vote on
I
that?
don't think it's voted on.
Well, it would be nice to see if everybody was in agreement to it.
We're all in agreement.
All right.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Go.
Okay. So, I'd just like to start the meeting off just by talking about a few things. We're going to go through our committee reports, and we're going to go through all the items we have here. But certainly, a couple things have happened in the past couple meetings, and I think I'd like to address a couple things. Things get spoken out on our meetings, and then things are taken out of context and twisted around on public media issues. And I just wanted to address a couple things just about the multimodal programs and the 5-year plan and all this stuff. All those things are great to sit down and talk about, but to actually implement a lot of that stuff all comes down to the budget and budgetary items. And the biggest thing that we have going on is our budget meetings and our budget preparation for the upcoming year. And that is where the borough, as a council, can sit together and talk about what we want to do for our next year. And so certainly, it behooves us to have a strong budget and know where our dollars are going, so that we know where and when we are above or below our budgetary lines. So just wanted to mention that. I think that's important to bring out. I wanted to talk about the letter of support for the planning of the waterfront properties before we get down to that level. I just wanted to make a comment on that. I spoke with Ann Lewis over the weekend about this. And what this is the 3 boroughs are trying to join together, and they're trying to plan to get a grant to plan things for the boroughs, the waterfront property boroughs that are still sitting there. West Homestead has the property that's has the waterfront area down there where they used to have the festivals, the Irish Festival and whatnot, and all that whatnot. I know that they're talking about putting a boat dock system in there, which would be phenomenal for the whole area. I know that Homestead is talking, they want us to try and join the waterfront property with the bike path coming up through. I'm not sure of a design on how that would be, but there's been talk of that. I certainly would like to see our parks and rec area, that down there that we have 7.5 acres set aside for parks and recreation, implemented. I would love to see some senior use down there. I would love to see some pickleball courts or whatever we wanted to put down there, maybe some pavilions, and make it a multi-use area down there. So there's a lot of talk about that between the three boroughs, which will be starting. We'll be asking for a letter of support. They are asking for a letter of support. West Homestead and Homestead already have agreed to this, and they're asking Munhall for that support. Also, I'd like to speak about an important thing that we haven't really talked about, and I think we need to. We certainly have an issue with our ambulance service. I've been stopped by several members of the ambulance service in the past week. They're concerned that they may not be able to stay, that they may have to fold. I think we need to have a sit down with them and have a meeting and see where they financially are at and what options we have before we sign a budget and do a budget. I think this needs to be dealt with. I think it's an important issue certainly for Homestead and for Munhall, which we share that service, and for us not to sit down and really talk with them and get something hammered out and worked out would be it wouldn't be right. It would be an injustice for all the residents of the town who depend on that. And I think it's an important issue, and that's why I'm bringing it up right now. I know that David has been working on the budget, and he's talked to me all back and forth, and I have a general idea where we're at, and he knows better than anyone where we're at. But I think we need to discuss that as a council, what we plan on doing with that. So that being said, I'm gonna move forward to our standing committee reports, and we'll start with our finance department.
Yes, we had a fantastic finance meeting last night. Unlike some meetings where you don't think you're ever going to end, this took over 3 hours. It felt like an hour and a half. Very productive. David had answered a lot of questions that we had. He brought the budget up to a point where we thought we had a deficit. We no longer have that deficit. Hopefully we'll be starting the budget process within the next week, I hope. Bill Hanna was here. Bill was very familiar with the previous budget, worked on it. He's willing to help us again. And I'll turn everything over to Dave.
Yeah, I could go into the budget in more detail when we get to that item. But there's also, in your packets, there's the October financial reports as well. And you can peruse that at your leisure if you have any questions about anything. We went through it pretty extensively. Our cash flow, I think, is okay for the rest of the year. And then next year we can start afresh and really, I think, have a better opportunity to control expenses and make sure we stick as close to the budget as possible.
Okay. Any questions on the budget from council, the public? Okay. Public Works. Bob, you have anything to talk about? Any reports for us to be informed about?
No, we didn't have any meetings.
You had no meetings?
No.
Okay. Did the leaf truck work?
Yes, it is.
You had it out there?
Been out for about 10 days.
Nice. Awesome.
Also, the leaf truck, Homestead's gonna give them their leaf truck next Friday, so they're gonna tag team all the leaves and try to get everything taken care of with leaves next Friday.
What areas?
I'm not sure what areas he's gonna hit, but we'll have 2 trucks out next Friday, being able to suck up all the leaves, since
Okay,
it's a big issue.
it's a great issue, I'm glad we do that.
You and your staff are getting a lot of good compliments on social media and phone calls that I've received on the leaf pickup too. So congratulations on a good job on the leaf pickup.
Okay, all right, any questions for Bob? Okay, we're moving forward to Parks and Recreation. Greenie?
Yes, me, Kevin, and Donna did attend the meeting last Monday, the 4th, and we were talking about having, what I'm saying, Christmas on Main Street. And we're thinking about if we can get, the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts have already committed, if we can do it. I said, I need to present this totally to the council and see what they say. I said, but if we can get the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the boys baseball, the girls baseball, maybe 4 businesses on Main Street. I have 2 people already called me and said they're willing to donate 2 of the Christmas trees. And I think if we put the word out there, we'll have other people who would like to donate trees because they're not using them. I asked Bob about where we could put them, that we could plug in. He said, up the Park School across the street at, we all say Abers, come down to the War Memorial and across the street by Pizza King. A suggestion was made about the War Memorial tree. Maybe people would, somebody who's ever doing that would put on red, white, and blue decorations for the veterans. I thought that was a unique idea. Coming down to West Virginia and East Virginia, and then down to Listax and across the street by Wolf's. I don't know how you all feel about it. I just think it would be last year when we had 1 tree on Main Street, many people commented. And I'm thinking if we would do it, let's say December 1st till whatever day you decide, January 10th or whatever. I'd like to know how you feel about that. And then I just want to mention that this Saturday, they're going to take down the veterans' banners on Main Street, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. So anybody who would like to come and help, please join the fun. And that's my report. But I'd like to hear what you think about Christmas idea.
So Rainey, just to add, I did speak with Carmine at the Main Street barber shop, and he sort of leads the charge with putting up and taking down the banners. And him and I had an agreement that we were going to get the borough to come in and do that prior to the Saturday. And I was sort of surprised that this didn't happen because we had been planning on that. I had been planning on that with them. So I spoke with him Veterans Day. I called him to make sure that we were still doing that. He says, "Oh no, the plans have changed, and that's fine." But he said in the spring when they put them up, he's going to be looking for the borough to help put up the signs. I said, well, okay. I was hoping that we would help take them down this year. So I'm just bringing that to the attention of everyone that they are looking for help. And I mean, in speaking, I even believe Bernie mentioned it at a prior meeting that they were looking for help from the borough, and we were going to help them. So I was a little surprised by that, but that's fine.
Yeah, John Hickson told me also that they weren't going to need us till next year. But I didn't ask any questions, that's what I was told to.
Okay. Mayor, you were going to say something?
Yeah, on Rainey's suggestion, that's a great idea. You know, I sent an email out to the chief and to David about the Small Business Friday, Small Business Saturday, November 30th, the 2 days after Thanksgiving. And that's, you know, to close Main Street, same as they do on the market nights. They already have vendors coming up, and that would be a good time to maybe you can get those trees up. Because I've thought of that before too, doing those trees, but So that would just be bumping it up by a day, you know, some come in later, that'd be fine.
What are the hours for that?
1 to 4.
1 to 4?
Yeah, we're gonna do it during
Till light?
light hours, right, 1 to 4. And it'll be a small business, Saturday, I would want to say Friday.
So, Rainey, on that, I think it's great that we're doing that, and you know I'm all in favor of that. But have you reached out to Steel Valley, maybe a football team as well? Maybe they might want to do it their own little tree somewhere. I don't know if putting trees up is against the ethics of public schools or the municipality, but I think that there are other nationalities that might be celebrating during the holidays too, so maybe you could invite them to put up you know, whatever symbols they might want to put up as well throughout the town as well.
I was thinking-
Just thoughts.
I agree, but I was thinking about the businesses on Main Street, you know, because a number of them are on by different, whatever nationalities, and I was thinking maybe they would coordinate. And I was going to go up to, I thought, I went to Grange yesterday to see who is the president of the Munhall Business Association, because I thought that it was Dr. Spellman, and they said, no, he retired. But Donnie Green didn't know, so he said, he thinks I should call Dave Cole.
Well, so I think it's Dave.
Is it the son or the father?
Father.
The father? Okay, then I'll call, you know, and see if maybe he would contact us, some of those businesses.
We're also, Munhall Cares is also contacting the businesses probably this week about window decorations. And we're gonna have a little contest as we did last year, and Munhall Cares will, you know, pay first, second, and third place for the business's window decorations.
That's nice.
So we're gonna light it up pretty nice between your trees and the window decorations. It'll look pretty nice.
So I can move ahead and go with that idea and see what we get,
You certainly have my support.
okay? Thank you, everybody.
Okay, community and property?
We didn't have a meeting due to the election, but I spoke to our solicitor and put him in touch with homestead solicitors so they could work on the tax forgiveness for the properties.
Okay,
He said he would present it to us when he's here.
so we're not going to speak about that now,
I don't know.
tonight, on items for consideration for the regular meeting. Tax forgiveness on property development, including
Unless
alerts.
David knows.
We don't really have any information at this point in time.
Okay.
We'll talk about it at the
All right, so
council meeting.
we'll just
Yeah.
scratch that one off. All right. Okay. Let's move forward then to items for consideration for our regular meeting. Raising the rates on Westfield.
Yes.
Dave, do you have a?
I have a sheet of paper here.
Okay.
It's a couple of pages down. It's Westfield rates. I brought this up before, and I'd like to kind of get some more feedback about this. And I think probably December, maybe we can actually vote on this.
Okay.
But basically, the costs to the borough currently are nearly $100,000 for the maintaining Westfield. That's labor and just general maintenance.
Okay.
That is aside from the projected
Turf.
yes, which probably within 2 years we have to
Start
put
looking
that
at.
money into. So, and we're getting almost that in terms of income, but that's not really even covering it. And I just think that we can raise the current rates to the proposed rates, but most of the participants are actually institutions. Chatham, Carlin, Finger Lake, baseball.
Mhm.
And the bottom section has what I would propose, we'll have to do some negotiation with them about the rates for them on an annual basis.
Okay.
Help cover the cost of maintenance and start putting a little bit of money aside for the
Upgrade.
upgrading.
Right. Makes sense.
So we can, if any comments or anything, we'll discuss it. I mean, this also open negotiation with the parties as well, but this is what I'd like to institute.
Okay.
At least the proposed daily hourly rates, well, that we just set up. So if you want to, we can probably go on that in December.
Okay. Any questions, council?
And also, I haven't had a chance to do all the different rates I want to look at, but the sanitation numbers, I don't have any numbers for that yet, but we can look at that as well as
Okay.
general sanitation, basically garbage collection for both boroughs.
Okay?
I mean, they're under contract with Homestead, but
Right.
we might have to look at raising the rates in Munhall a little bit just to make sure we're covering our costs.
Okay.
That's the most important thing.
All right.
Where that's not gonna be concerned. Okay, so I spoke with, this is regarding the renting of the second floor space to Chatham University. On the second floor, which is just right above us, from the elevator, you take a right and you go through the double doors, it's just completely undeveloped. It's basically open space. Chatham is interested in renting the left side of that space all the way down.
Just the front of the
Facing the
field,
field,
right?
yes. They want to put lockers in there and also kind of a meeting room.
Okay?
For the girls softball program. Because there's no changing rooms for the girls at the field, but like there is for the boys. I don't have numbers yet for what they're willing to offer us, but basically they would be required to basically build out the space that they want for their own use.
Okay?
But we would need to probably build out the hallway
Okay?
and put the doors in. And I would also like, if you recall, going straight down, there's a large room at the end that's got a lot of windows.
Mhm.
I would like to really develop that as well, for renting out for a variety of different uses. It's a nice public space.
Right,
So we'd have to put money into that as well.
like the sun porch area,
Yeah,
okay.
because it overlooks the field, it's just a nice little room. So that's what I think, but once I get actual numbers from Chatham, we can begin the negotiation process for the field and renting space from the building. So they're interested, they're just working on numbers themselves. And I'd like to talk to Carlo about maybe doing the other side of that on the second floor.
David?
Yeah.
Lose a decade from Carlos said that they want to do the other side.
Okay, good, well then that's a
I've
good.
been in contact with them also.
I mentioned talking to him, but yeah, I'll get a hold of him this weekend.
Thanks.
We can have him come out and take a look. So it'd be nice to at least get some of the second floor developed. And
Right.
slowly
Good news.
build it out.
And also, they want to do a 5-year contract with soccer.
Okay, good, thank you. So yeah, we want to have long-term contracts with both parties.
Absolutely.
All right, any questions about that so far? Once I have numbers, I'll get them to you. Okay? All right, budget. We had a long discussion about the budget. I have new numbers. So whatever you have from the past, I'll give you lots of copies of the budget. This is now the latest.
Updated.
Throw everything else away.
Burn it.
I have, so as Rini suggested, she wanted to look at this year's budget to compare to what we proposed for next year. So there's 3 columns. This year's budget, next year's budget, and then next year's budget with an increase of 1 mil. Because there's discussion about putting in all the things we really want. The second column is really bare bones, simple. It gets us through, we don't raise taxes, but if we want to actually expand some of the services we're providing, like paving, putting more support to maps, putting more support to the fire engine fund, and building out this building a little more, then that would be, we'll look at adding the 1 mil to the taxes. It's a difference of about 415, well, 415 would be the increase in collected 100%, so we're estimating about 385,000 to be collected. So I highlighted the areas that would be different. So you go through and look, most of it's the same, but on page 5, I added basically $240,000 to building out this building. If we want to be serious about actually getting this space rented out and paying off our bond, we have to put some money into this building. That's, the first thing I have to do is update the HVAC. So that's the first thing I put in there. Second thing is on page 8, bringing the truck fund donation from $30,000 to $65,000, which is what it was. 65 was this year. I dropped down to 30 because of the budget, but we can increase that to 65 again. I'm sure Glenn would like that. And then also the maps as well, bring it up to the level we had before, but that also is dependent upon any discussions we have with them. Okay? And the last thing is on page 11, street paving, having a third party come in, instead of 90,000, putting 150,000 into that to pave more streets. So that's really, those are the big differences. Everything else is pretty much the same.
And do you know how much it would cost an average household if you raised it a little?
I don't have that number, but I will get those numbers for you by next week.
I mean, the match donation needs to be higher than what, the $25,000 we have in here. Look at the truck fund donation, I mean, the price of fire trucks are absolutely through the roof, so that's something that we have to look at. Do we increase, the truck fund donation over time? Because I mean, how long, I'm not even sure, how long we've been giving you guys 65,000? I'm not even sure.
Well, we were at 70, and then down to 68, and then down to 65, where we're at now. 65 is about the bare minimum where we can, make the payments on the trucks that are
And
currently
the
in
price of the
payment.
trucks have doubled over the last 3 years, so that, I mean, we have to, public safety is definitely one of the number one things we have to work on. Do we have numbers on the HVAC build out?
Not yet, but it's gonna be upwards of 300, I would think.
And I did see, I took a couple of notes on my old one. The school resource officer, shouldn't that be more than 100,000?
What page is that?
School resource officer is on page 2, I believe,
Is it
I mean, that should be more than 100K, there's 2 of them, so. And I think this year was doing pretty good so far.
What page is it again, Tim?
On my original one, it was on page number 2,
We gotta get
362.150.
362?
Page 3.
Page
Yeah.
3.
Page 3, sorry. Because, I mean, this year we have a 171,
Hold on, let me look at
875.
what we actually got so far this year from the school resource officer.
And these are just notes I took on what you gave me last week, David.
Yeah, that's fine. It was budgeted for 171. Because we didn't have a school resource officer for the full year, I don't have any idea of the actual money we would get right now. We received about 78,000 so far this year. So I put it at a conservative 100,000, but I have to rerun the whole calculations to see how much we get from the school.
It would be a little more, because we did, last year we only had one school resource officer, now we have 2.
Okay.
So,
All right, so I
pretty much we'll be double.
can try to figure out those numbers and
Yeah.
increase that.
Because last year, 24, it was just at the high school.
And the fire survey under 411, 460,
Yes.
is that a consolidation plan? What,
That is assessing the needs of the borough in terms of fire.
now, wouldn't the DCED do that for us for free?
Well, that'd be ideal.
I'm just asking.
I'd have to actually ask them after figure out what kind of program that would be under and see if we can do it. But yes, I mean, there's probably grant money about that, so.
Okay.
Tim, what number is that?
The 411, it's on page 7. That was on page 8.
411, 460.
Yeah, I don't have a number for it yet. That's why it doesn't have a number there.
And 431.80, I have on my page now, I know it's something different now. The public works routine, 22,000, is that kind of low?
It is, well, I increased it to 30,000 with this question.
Okay.
It does a lot depend on the snow, it's really the difference.
Tim, what was the last
snow.
number you said, 431?
Oh, I'm sorry, let me go back to it.
Page 8,
430, 180.
it's on page 9.
That 472, 600, the 10 interest,
Yes.
is that for when we had the 10 loan?
That
This year,
is,
or that's
that was,
something else?
that is, we spent 25,000 roughly for TAN interest for this year. I put in 20,000, just in case we are required to get a TAN next year. If we don't, then we don't have to spend 20,000.
Okay.
But that's just to cover our bases. But it should be less than 20,000. Because we got $750,000 TAN and we spent 25,000 interest on that.
And I did see you had 25,000 for ordinances. Did you leave that in there?
I did leave that in there.
And do we have a game plan for that?
I would like to find some money from DCED to cover at least half the cost of that.
Okay.
But our ordinances are very out of date, so we need to put some money into that.
No, I agree, but I was just asking
Yeah.
if you had a game plan for it. What-
Yeah, I want
What's
to, I'll get a hold of DCED and talk about all these different things that we can try to get some grant money for.
Okay.
So Dave, I see we're planning on build out $282,000 possibly for the second floor
For the building,
for this building.
for this building, yes.
But we have $10,000 for the old Borough building.
Yeah, well, that's really the rub there. I mean, we can put the money into the old Borough building or this building, Borough building, gotta figure out what we want to do with the buildings.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up, because we're not, we skipped over that, and honestly, we had someone that wanted to be in that building, and
I would
we
have
need
to
talk
estimate
about that.
roughly, to get that building up to code would be, I would think, at least $300,000.
Okay. And what would be the major expenses?
Basically, there's some structural problems with the building. There's a lot of
That's the first I've heard of structural problems with the building.
the entrance of the building, I believe, needs some work.
It needs some masonry work, absolutely.
Not to, yeah, okay, and then Bob, do you have any insight into that yourself?
As far
As what we need to do to make that building a space that's up to OSHA standards?
well, I'd imagine the fire suppressant isn't, there's nothing there for any kind of fire, there's no,
So we should just knock the building down then? That's where we need to go then with this?
No, well, the next item is about what we can possibly do with that building.
That's what I'm talking about.
So,
A lot of the public doesn't want to see that happen.
Glenn, would you like to run with this one now?
Do we want to build a new fire company? Is that what we're talking about?
You, last year you asked us for suggestions, and in your packets, there are surveys done from SGS Engineering and Gorski Construction Engineering. If you read through them, it shows the flaws, the good things with the building, the flaws with the building. You asked us to see if it was convertible to update the fire department in that building. So this has been a 9-month process, give or take, that we've been meeting with everybody here. Take some time to look through that. I mean, I'll answer questions, but it would behoove you to read everything that's in these packets. There are detailed drawings for the station, because now these stations have to be NFPA compliant. You just can't throw up a metal building anymore and stick trucks in them.
So basically, the suggestion from Glenn and the council, that he says hash this out for the next couple months, is what we want to do with the building. Now, we can put money into it, but Glenn has come up with a plan that could work from turning that building into a fire station, a state-of-the-art fire station. The cost is the rub. Estimated cost of this building would be $9 million. Now, hold up. Glenn and his contacts feel they could probably raise about $4 million through different grants. And basically, I would love to have the opportunity to find $5 million in every rock, everywhere. Because I think this building, you'll see the picture here, it creates it maintains the structure of the building, the shape of the building, and gives the fire department a better place to work.
So in this plan, then, are you planning on shutting the other fire stations down?
No.
Not at this time, but that it has the room for future expansion if that's what they wish to do.
Would there still be an option to rent some of that building out, Glenn?
No, it would be all
So the people that have asked about renting, they can be an option for them.
correct.
That's why I would like to build up this building a little bit, and so we can actually rent out space in this building for people.
Okay.
So we definitely need to do a study before I think we try to move forward with anything like this for a fire station. I think, my biggest thing, I think all 4 departments become under one umbrella at that point in time. And we're gonna spend $9 million on a fire station. I think we need to do the study, the DCD study, have a study come in, see what's going on with that. And then, I mean, $9 million is an investment, it's a long-term investment. We can't spend $9 million on West Street right here, and then number one needs something in 5 years. We're spending $1 million on Market Street, then number 5 needs something, or, there's $1 million up there. Number 4 needs something, there's $1 million on Main Street. We definitely need to do the study and at least see what they think we should have. I mean,
This is step 1 of 1,000.
I would see this being a, 2, 3, 4 year project.
3 to 5.
Maybe more, how long?
3 to 5.
3 to 5, that's what I was, yeah. I was in the ballpark.
It's very impressive though.
Yeah.
Very good.
there's a lot of good details in there. I mean, especially with, the old building over there. But I think, we definitely have to do a study first.
Yeah.
Before, at least start that process and see what we have to do going forward. It's a lot of money to put out.
May I say something? We went into this with the fact that we didn't know, council's asked us many times, some members of council have asked us, what are we doing? We don't own the building. And if you don't know me, my name is Brian Gardner. I'm a 50-year life member over here. I'm the current president over there. Also spent 25 years as chief officer. I served in Glenn's position, deputy chief, and 15 years as chief over there at the 201. So we went into this with the fact that it has to be a joint project. We can raise money on our end by doing grants, but it needs to be coordinated. This is just one step of many that have to be taken. But in order to get the ball rolling, we needed to know where to go. Because we can't ask for money if we don't have support from council.
So my thing is, like, we do the study and they come back and say, the best place for a new fire station, and I'm just saying, is on Western Road, I'd say by the Acre, because all the responders are coming from that area. We need to at least be, moving in the right direction. So if they say, hey, 1900 West Street is not the best place for a fire station, where do we put it? Or do we need to build a substation, somewhere on the Main Street corridor or in the Garden Plan, or something in that range? So I think, we definitely have to get the study moving in the right direction before we look at how we're gonna fundraise $9 million. That's 4 from you, 5 from us, that's a lot of money.
And before we just brought this up, we wanted at least to have something for you to look at, to see what it could be. Like I said, we can change drawings, but that starts costing money. We got this, the fire company put some of their own money in, we got a lot of this done, pro bono, just so that you guys had something. Like I said, we have the full-fledged drawings, you know, that you are all more than welcome to see, but at least gives you an idea of what it could possibly turn into. Instead of just saying, hey, we want a station, you don't have anything to look at, you don't have anything to read. Like I said, this is step one of something to consider.
And we all know that the appearance of the building, the clock tower that's on that picture is the original clock tower. It stays. They're building the new building around it.
Wow.
That's good.
And the general appearance of the building will be the same basic shape as the existing building that's there. So it kind of keeps that integrity of what's been in the community for 80 years there. But these are only preliminary. I mean, this could be changed down the line. The firm that does this, does many fire stations, has operated and done a lot of other projects, some of them revitalizing, some of them rebuilding. There's other options that we don't even show on there that we talked about. Some of it, the facade, we stay in the same type of facade. We went into this with one fire station, central, and that was it. It has the room to expand. There's sleeping quarters there. There's day rooms that are separate. Everything is set up NFPA. It's designed as it sits. There's no solar on it, but it can have solar added down the line, or it could be included when the final project is done, if it's ever done. But basically, there won't be any basements under this building. All the new fire stations do not have basements because of the weight of the vehicles. There's the reason that the trucks still go out the sides is because of standards for swing and movement and everything else. So there was a lot. This firm is very efficient what they do. The other one that's there, SGS, Gorski is the one that has the drawings and the preliminary cost. SGS is good at that too, but we had to pay them, but in order to get more work done, to get even what we had for Gorski, it would have cost us another 12 grand. So we've already invested some of our own money into this, but it was only, like I said, we went for the future, not just for one station. We have one set up for one station, but, and like I said, the other thing is, again, we don't own the building. And you have the property already, so there's no property cost. And that's the reason we just used that site. But the project itself, as it sits there, would be 1.5 to 2 years, depending on what they run into. There's also stuff in there that shows about costs that aren't incurred and listed in there, is they still don't know about all the abatement costs for what hazards are in the building. Hookup fees, some other stuff. There's no IT in the building. There's no cost for furnishings. That's just for basic building. It does have fire suppression, but it does not have a fire alarm system. So it does have sprinklers. So we did try to cover everything there so that we had a more finite cost. And that is prevailing wage, since you guys would own the building or have a stake in it. That is a prevailing wage cost too.
Now, your station, of course, is behind it. Has anybody else got behind it?
At this time, I said this is the first time it's been out.
I never even heard you guys were doing a study. Very impressive. I didn't know you guys were doing a study. It's very impressive.
You see, we spent some time researching a lot
And
of
some
this.
money, too.
I commend you for giving us something to be able to look at and refer to. Thank you.
And just because of the cost, the way the square footage and that is, there was no room to allow for any rentable space in the building.
You're basically doing the same footprint, you're not changing
Yes.
much of anything.
It might a few feet this way or that way. There's also, it's been worked in there that you can add 2 more bays on there if we needed to for smaller pieces. So
No, by the looks of it, is the garage doors gonna be on the side like they are now?
the current garage doors will face the way they do, both ends. Yeah, because of the swing, they did a study about you have to have, for certain lengths trucks, you have to have so much room, and the only way to get that appropriate room off of West Street was to come out the sides.
Okay.
Any thought, Brian, would there be any possible, like even a little more build out where you would have a place that you could rent? Not a permanent renter, but someplace to rent for graduation parties, for,
There is very,
Small
on that,
wedding.
on that site, there's very little.
there's no rooms, okay.
Yeah.
I would like to think that would be done in this building, right?
Yeah, maybe that would be better for this,
mean,
right, build out of
seriously.
this building, a place that can be rented for, I don't know, not like a St. John's, but something on a smaller scale.
I mean, whatever your study determines
Insurance.
would be, I mean, this was only preliminary on our part. I said, if this goes down the road and anybody else wants to get on board or whatever, it's fine. When the time comes, if that's what they want to do, there's alterations that what people have talked about already on those drawings. We have 2 sets of prints for this. I mean, we had preliminary prints that only call for 2 floors. We have this drawings here called, and that cost calls for 3 floors in the center structure.
Chief, if there's a way we can, if we wanted to meet with you or something, to look at the prints, can we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I said, but we did that with mine, like I said, we took into account that the design of the building is not totally
In stone.
in stone, but we thought about it as the way it is here now and using what we had. And he said the architect, the woman, Borski, who we have, is more than willing to come out and explain everything that's there. He's very knowledgeable on how we can get grants, and basically this paperwork is what is needed to get grants.
Maybe you can sit down with the manager, meet with the manager.
Whatever like I said, they're willing to come out and meet.
Okay, anyone else? Anything else?
A big subject.
Sure is. I wasn't ready for that.
Yep.
We wanted it to be a surprise.
I'm surprised. I'm impressed.
Good job. You guys did a good job of surprising us.
Good job.
So regarding back to the budget real quick.
Yep.
So we want to have a public meeting for the budget next Thursday, not this Thursday, but following Thursday. Does the council want to meet before that and hash out any other outstanding issues?
Regular meeting's next week.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely have to discuss, like Rick said, funding for maps. I mean, that's something that is gonna be a priority for sure, so.
Well, that'll happen during the budget meetings, talking about maps, what we're gonna do.
We need to invite them to a sit-down.
Okay.
That's what we need to do. We need to find out what they're looking for, where they're at financially. We need to know how good or bad things are there. And I don't think things are too good there, to be honest with you.
All right, well, let me get a meeting set up.
You're gonna meet with the maps?
I'll give you the maps and.
Right.
We met with them once this year, earlier in the year.
They were here.
Yeah,
But
so,
it wasn't really a down and dirty meeting talking about numbers and this and that. So we need to know where they're at, what they're looking for, how much money they need, how much operations, because I gotta tell you, they certainly didn't speak fairly well about where they're at. And they're concerned that they may have to shut down. And we do not want to have, we do want to have a local ambulance service. I think it's important. I think it's imperative, actually.
I think we need to meet with them before we have the budget meeting for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we'll meet with them this week.
You know, and Bernie and Dave and Mr. Arthur, we're all, and the mayor was there for Alon. We talked about the ambulance services, how bad it is. You know, it was a 2-hour-long session of how bad it is.
It's bad.
It's hard for them to make money.
So I mean, we definitely need to be.
We need to sit down and get it mashed out.
One of their main problems is keeping employees.
They've solved that.
They have?
they've raised their pay salary, and they're not losing, employees, and they're looking for us to help them. That's what
In the
that's what I was
past, they were
told.
losing a lot of people to other Baldwin ambulance or wherever.
They're not doing that right
That's
now, is
good.
what they told me. So,
Yeah, I'll get a meeting this week.
good.
And, we'll get some specifics
Yep.
on what they need.
A meeting.
Can meet with Baldwin if we like.
Well, I'll talk to, West Homestead and see what their experience is with both.
Okay. Very good. From what maps representatives told me, Baldwin would cost us a lot more. So, we need to sit down and find out.
The worst scenario would be if maps failed quickly, and we had nowhere to go,
Right.
and then you're kind of like, you're stuck.
And then it's on our laps. And we do not want that to happen. Okay? Go ahead, move on, Dave.
Green Light Go grant opportunity, there's a sheet in here. It hasn't opened yet, but opens soon. Dan is working on that. It's basically to fix the traffic light by the cemetery.
Well, they're complaining about it.
No, yeah.
So, that's a great opportunity. It should be about $10,000, so it should be something to get.
Yeah.
Okay?
I sat there the other day.
Also, Main Street Matters and the LSA grant application, there are two grants we're pursuing. We talked about last council meeting for the Main Street development project we have.
Right?
There's a letter in your packet that gives you the numbers that we're looking at. This is specifically for the Main Street Matters program. It's a brand new program. It came from another program that was shut down by the state last year. We are asking, so the whole project is about $947,000 for this project on Main Street. And we're asking for, it's a matching, a 50% matching. We're asking for $462,000 from the state through Main Street Matters. We've already been awarded $100,000 from local share account last year and $75,000 from the GEDTF program. So we have $175,000 we've already been able to accrue, meaning that our current commitment would be $287,000. But this is a program that's done over 3 years, so we don't have to rush and put it into our budget for next year.
We could reach that.
But hopefully we'll also find money from other sources too.
Right.
So that's the plan. I think the end of this month is when the application has to be submitted. But the council voted last month to proceed with this grant.
Yep.
So that's the breakdown of that. So we'd like to actually get that program going. $100 million for Main Street would be really helpful.
Be awesome.
There's another recycling grant from DEP that's opening up soon, December or January. This would be a way for us to get a new leaf collector and also a new F-350, which DPW says they're in need of. The leaf collector would probably be, if we get the award, would be covered about 90% covered by the state, 10% by us. The F-350 would be used for more than just recycling. So it would be a 60-40, we'd have to cover 40% of that. That's how that's usually structured. But that should be, I think it's certainly doable. So once we get that grant opens up, we can discuss it in more detail. But I think it's worth pursuing. We were awarded this program last in 2019, so they'd like to give it to people that haven't gotten it in a while. Good. We've already talked about letter support for planning at the waterfront. And we talked about the fire station.
Yep.
Oh, and one other thing I got, two things I got today. Greg sent, our solicitor sent this from the county regarding the zoning ordinance amendment. We'll have to discuss it at the council meeting next week,
Okay.
but it's in your package, you can read through it. And then Steel Valley Accelerator also sent me something today, a letter to Munhall, West Homestead, about a storefront facade grant program. There's a letter in your packet for that as well.
David,
Yeah. Oh, is that the,
Keystone?
yes, that's right. Last thing. Why don't you just explain it, Len?
So to give you an update on the number 4's fire engine, that's currently at Keystone for the pump issue.
Who's pump engine?
Number 4,
Okay.
where we have currently using New Kensington's engine in there. Where are we at now, 4 months?
Something like that, goes
Yeah.
like lifetime.
It's gonna end up needing a new pump. That's what this Keystone fire apparatus is. We have, it started off with the gearbox issue. As they tore down the pump, put everything together, put it back in, the pump started leaking, will not pass the pump test. Usually what occurs in these situations, we can get them rebuilt. When we do our pump tests every year, we usually get indicators by pressure and how they're passing the pump test. So every 15 to 20 years, pump usually needs rebuilt. I mean, it's a mechanical part. Saves a lot of money in the long run. We got no indication with this truck that it was gonna go. So, once it was taken apart, I think that's what did it. When they put the gearbox in, now it won't pass the pump test. So, after some deliberation, we have this cost for $44,000. Now, it sounds like a lot, it's a steal. He's given that to us at a pretty darn good cost. Number 4's engine is in great condition. So, putting a new pump in this is going to expand it because it's second in line in the truck fund, so it's still going to be around for another 10 years. This pump will make that truck last that long. So, but due diligence between Dan and Sean at Keystone and so on and so forth, we were able to break this up into 2 payments as to not take a hit. If we can do the first payment for all the, this is already including all the work that they've been trying to do on the truck already too. So this is not on top of the original quote for that gearbox. This is including everything that's already been done. The second payment won't be, I would venture to say if we get the blessing of council to get this done, we could probably have the pump ordered and at Keystone probably by next month, and hopefully have number 4's engine back by February. So,
Do we have to bid with that price? Just making sure we cover us, or, excuse me.
being that they've already worked on it and it's torn apart there,
Quick question.
It's a high number, I just don't know, I mean, that's something maybe we should ask Greg and make sure.
Are they co-stars?
yes,
Then no.
Okay, so they are co-stars?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I know they're co-stars.
So could you just explain so everyone is aware of what you're talking about? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't understand.
as far as the pump.
Yeah.
Okay, the pump is their main component in a fire engine. It's what flows the water to the hand lines, to the deck guns, from the hydrant.
The heart of the truck.
It's, yeah, basically the heart of the truck.
So it's not a pump that runs in the engine, it's a pump that's used for pumping water.
Yes, it's in the engine though. It runs off a PTO system on the engine which engages, it runs off the motor, off the drive shaft.
But it doesn't run like a water pump.
No, it's
That cools the engine, it's a separate pump that enables the fire truck to do its function.
correct.
Thank you.
It's a 1,500 gallon per minute pump. It's not like a little a water pump in your car.
Well, I mean, that's why I wanted people, because a lot of people don't know what that means. That's why I wanted to say that and ask them that. That's why it's $44,000.
Better than buying a $750,000 new engine.
For the pump, that's also.
Right.
To put the gear work together and everything too.
That's all the labor, that's everything. Which is not like just dropping one out and putting one in with a couple bolts.
And could you explain what you said, they would allow payments to go how?
So if you look on there, the first payment would be the $22,000, which is covering what they've already done so far and can get them to order that pump. Once all the work is completed and it passes its pump test, that's when we'll get the secondary invoice.
Okay.
And we still have the 40,000 for number 1 Styles Square, correct?
Yeah, we're still waiting on that part. From what I get from that one though, Scott from First Vehicle is going to pay that, and we can pay First Vehicle. I got that worked out to pay First Vehicle in 2 or 3 installments on that, as to not take a huge chunk at one time.
So Glenn, what year make is this truck?
That is a 2002.
And typically, because, you know, I know a little bit about engines and mechanics and equipment. Typically, how long is parts available? Well, I mean, sooner or later, it's gonna come to an end where they're not gonna have the parts to redo this thing, I would think. I mean, I don't know.
For, believe it or not, for fire engines, they could be manufactured
Really?
to a point, because towns like Munhall and everything around here, we're not New York City, we're not Los Angeles that can pop off fire trucks at, you know, a dozen
Right.
at a time. Our trucks have to last 25, 30 years. It shows because they're in great shape. Sometimes things break, you know what I mean?
Right.
But,
Well, that's great.
you know, having a pump go after 22 years is pretty impressive. There's a lot of water that's been flowing through that engine. And honestly, like I said, if we would have got the indicators over the last few years with the pump tests, we would have had it rebuilt for 12 or 15, you know, would have been budgeted for that, and we wouldn't be
Where we're at.
where we're at, but we just never got the indicators on it. You know, we've done that with several engines prior to. The old engine on 201, we started having leaks. It wasn't holding the pressures from the, it was passing, but that's your sign. Okay, it was time to rebuild, you know, and that thing lasted all the way until it was sold, you know.
If you think about it, it might have been a blessing in disguise, because if it failed all at one time.
Oh, if that thing would have
if
failed
fire
in a fire
safety-
call,
Right, you're done.
you know, that's why we do the pump testing every year.
Right,
You know, and I'm glad we found it during that testing. It just
right.
sucks that it completely broke it. That's something out of our control.
So Glenn, how did you get New Kensington's truck in Munhall?
So, this gentleman by the name of, and I'll give him the credit, Mike Tallarico, now that we do a fire department, he's part of a group called the Fire Department Mission Relief Project. They had just sent a bunch of equipment down to the hurricane area. So he'll send out messages, and if anybody has extra gear and so on and so forth, they collect these, people donate 18-wheelers and they send that. So he's been a part of this organization for years. He is good friends with New Kensington's chief, and they've had this engine, it's their spare engine, one of their spare engines. The truck, believe it or not, the truck that's sitting up at number 4 right now, that New Kensington engine is a 1994. It's beautiful. And he said, hey, would you be willing to, you know, let us have that so we don't have an engine down? He absolutely jumped right all over it.
Wow.
So,
That's a-
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Okay. All right, Dave.
That's all I got.
Any old business?
No, I think so. I think things have been mostly resolved.
Any public comments?
I have one thing to say. When the budget process starts, public input's important. Come to the meetings, you know, voice your opinions of where we're doing, where we're going. See how it works. It's not an easy thing to do. And I encourage everyone to, you know, to come and let us know what you think.
one thing real quick, I forgot to ask at the very end of my speech here. I mean, are you guys okay with us moving forward with the repairs to the number 4's engine?
I think that's a vote on it for next week.
We would vote on that.
Okay, just wanted to make
Vote on
sure.
that next week. Any expenditures would have to be a vote.
Okay.
Vote,
Good enough.
okay?
I'm
But
on the
I would, I certainly would be in favor of it, just voicing my opinion. I mean, we can't let that thing go. It's gotta be done. I mean, it's a hard thing to swallow, but you know what? It is what it is. That's my fault, that's my feeling anyway. Okay, any public comments? All right, Bill?
You go, Brad?
No, you first.
Okay, I guess, speaking of revenue sources, I do think it is a good idea to look at new sources of revenue for the borough. You know, like the field. In Chatham, I guess my only concern with that, and I'm confident David will do the work, first off. But the thing is, besides the building cost, we all know it's the labor, and we know the aging field, the turf itself. It may, you know, and I would encourage to look for new revenue sources, like renting places in the building. But the costs themselves may be too high to absorb. And, you know, being the fact, we talked last night about this, and, you know, I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to Colin yet, but, you know, get some of the background of the building with the HVAC, and what can actually the second floor do or not do, because I think it's a kind of a shady area. So I'm all in favor of new revenue sources themselves, but we have to be cautious along the way what the actual cost is going to be, which I'm confident in that. The budget meeting last night was a very good meeting, and I want to compliment David, because in a very short period of time, he has gone from the end of August to understand a budget in a little over 10 weeks. So I think he should be commended. I think that there's a lot of things right there from a budget standpoint that really need to be considered and really looked at. In addition to what Glenn got into today in reference to the building. It's unfortunate with some of the bond rating issues. This would be at the time with the change in the bond rating that we would have to pay a higher interest rate themselves for money. I think other issues in reference to the budget is the budget, the way I understand it, is the same number of police officers. I'm personally in favor of increasing the police force, and I encourage the council themselves to have the tough discussions with both Glenn and Tom right there. And the question you should be asking them is, what do you need to be successful? That is the question the council should be asking. These are all difficult decisions to make itself, but I think some of the problems that we're seeing today are a direct result of not raising taxes over that long period of time, for which our infrastructure atrophied themselves, and which means the building, that means the equipment, that means everything. So we're paying the price now for it. Any other assets that are ones that do indeed, you can put them on the side and hold them right there as more, part of the, more like collateral than anything else. And unfortunate in 22, we had the building, the old nurses building that we were able to sell. And that was a significant amount of money that helped us through 22. So there's a lot of really tough discussions that needs to be had. Maps was another one that was just brought up tonight itself, which I think they have to be more on board with, really opening their books for you guys to understand really what that is and looking at the alternatives. Yeah, in a very quick period of time, if they're not, financially, good, they could close their door, which would be a large emergency. So there's a lot of work by the council that needs to be done. I know not all the council was here last night, which I wish they were, and people have other commitments, but you really need to sit down and have some very serious meetings with David. It's not something that, between now and that public meeting, probably 2 weeks, you probably have 3 to 4 more hours really that you need to sit down and have very lengthy discussions with Glenn, with Tom, with Public Works, with Code itself. So it's not something that's, if you come back 2 weeks from now and you spend an hour on it, you're not going to make a decision. So I'm just imploring the fact that I hope you all spend the time and energy as needed right there to make good decisions. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
So I just have a few comments and then some questions as well. Just bringing up the tax forgiveness for property development, including LERTA item. This is just more for a comment. There are 3 programs for economic development that exist that are within that single line item. So one of which is the tax exoneration or the tax forgiveness. So this would be forgiving back taxes on properties. That's one thing we've been pursuing with Homestead. They have a program where you can acquire properties and receive a tax forgiveness on that. The second is LERTA.
Who does that?
So I believe that Homestead Borough offers that. And the details on that, I've received applications, I've received some documentation on that. I'm still working through some of the details on that. My understanding is the solicitor will speak to that next meeting.
Okay.
There's a lot of legalities with that need to be navigated. The second thing is LERTA. So this is the Local Economic Revitalization Tax Abatement. So this is not a forgiveness of back taxes, but a forgiveness of forward taxes. It's an incentive. So, my hope for this as we pursue this would be for council to pass an ordinance that would be a LERTA ordinance, and that they would offer a tax abatement up to 10 years and up to 100% abatement on properties. So there's a little bit of details there as to whether it's commercial or residential, but for the most part, if we look at areas in the borough that are blighted or that require some level of work, this is what that ordinance would affect. So along 8th Avenue corridor, along where I live, on Martyr Street, in the lower parts of Munhall, these are all areas that would benefit from a LERTA ordinance of that type. The third economic development tool would be a TIF. This is one that I'm probably the least familiar with, and I'm actively learning on it, but this is tax increment financing.
That's why we have the waterfront.
Yes. So my hope is that we can explore some of this. It would require council as well as the school district and the county to establish a TIF district. Hey buddy, I brought my son with me tonight, so this would be establishing a TIF district, and this would essentially be money up front that then an abatement on taxes would pay back on that loan. So this would help developers that potentially don't have the capital up front to create some kind of improvement in the community. That TIF would be able to fund that. So I just wanted to kind of break down those 3 buckets. And hopefully, I have a meeting or an email out to a few of you to discuss that in detail. But just wanted to float some of those, and over the next few months, I hope to explore and research those a little bit better. The second part of my comments was as we kind of normalize back into a borough manager, which is great. I was at the budget meeting last night. David did a fantastic job putting together the budget and everything. As we look at some of that, I know that we've had a few borough managers over the past, and my understanding is that there's a process for bonding these particular individuals. So having a bonded staff member, I think that also applies to HR and finance. So as we're going through that, I'm not sure, is that something that we have budgeted in or put into that process? And then also, how much would that cost to have somebody bonded in that sense?
Bonded, Melissa's bonded, and John's bonded.
Oh, great. So that's already 10 years.
We're finalizing, but we're gonna be bonded. I'm bonded we'll be bonded for $750,000. John for 200, and then Melissa for 50, I believe.
Okay. And is there an ongoing price for that, or is that a
It's
one and done?
budgeted, it's not as much, it's really not that much money, it's a few $1,000s.
Okay.
So it's in the budget.
Oh, great.
So
Perfect.
that's covered.
Okay, great. That answers my question. And then the only other last comment I had was there were 2 shootings last night in Lower Munhall, one on 12th Avenue and one on 18th Avenue. I know I mentioned something.
They were in Homestead.
They're right on the line. So if you go down there, I mean, they're literally, bullets know no boundaries in that part of the neighborhood. And so McClure Street, the line for Munhall Homestead runs right down McClure Street. If I look left of my house, I see one shooting. When I look right, I see the other shooting. And my young son as well is there. He runs out in the street. So bullets know no boundaries in that area.
Where was the actual shooting? Was it in Homestead or Munhall?
This was on 18th, it was 18th and McClure, which would technically be Homestead. 12th and McClure would be right on the line. So
It goes all the way, jiggy joggies all the way down there.
yeah, so, you know, just something to think about as we're policing that area, or, I know nothing about that kind of stuff and why those types of events occur, but just whatever we can do to address that, that's something that my wife and my sons and myself are concerned about.
We talked to the chief, you know, before the meeting, a little meeting, we're gonna try to initiate some crime watch in the area. And a good place to start for a crime watch meeting will be down at the library, I think. We could contact the library, have a crime watch meeting down there, but that doesn't solve the problem. We all know that, you know. People have to be just more alert, get involved, you know. But then the police, actually, the officers that do that, Officer Bomey, historic crime watch officer, he's well versed on that, and we'd like to have something, but, you know, it's a problem that is not just in Munhall, Homestead. You know, you turn on your TV, it's in every community in Western Pennsylvania, throughout the United States. So, I mean, and what I said in one message, you know, is the problem is we have to attack the drug problem in Munhall. You attack the drugs and that may help some. I think a lot of these shootings are evolving because of drugs. So, we're gonna work on that, we're gonna get some crime watch out and, you know.
I think crime watch is a good start, Mayor.
That's a start.
I think it
It's
is.
only a start, but,
Knowing your neighbors is a start, and getting your community together.
it's a bigger problem than, you know, it's a big national problem.
I don't think the crime watch should be just down in 11.
Oh, no, we could have it in other places.
It needs to be
It
everywhere.
needs to be through the whole borough.
I know, there's people that wanna
There's
have
issues with
crime watch
crime
up
in the
in
whole borough.
the park area too, you know, and I'm sure there's people.
All the
that-
car break-ins
The
and all
gardens
this
that
and
wanna
all
have
that.
crime watch, you know, I'm
Absolutely.
not just centering it into one area. But I'm just saying the library would be a start and we can actually have, I mean, and it doesn't just have to be library residents, anybody can come to that. Cause I know there was a woman that was there a couple meetings ago that wanted to work with the crime watch program, and I think Donna actually said she would like to get involved in the crime watch program also, I remember. So, we have people out there want to get involved in it, you know, we have,
That'd be great.
captains and so forth.
And I'm hoping some of the economic development that we're working on too will help with this as well. I know Jesse Wade was here tonight earlier, but he couldn't stay, he had some other commitments. So moving forward, hopefully we can begin to address that a little bit more intentionally. So, that's all I have.
Absolutely, thank you. Anyone else?
Rick, let me say just one thing. I should have thought about it before, but I'll just mention to anybody who would like to know. Still Valley School District is having the Veterans
Oh, yes.
Program this Friday at the high school in the auditorium starting at 9:30.
That's always a great
It's
affair.
a fabulous.
Yep, always great.
It's worth taking a day off from me, I take a day off for that.
Yep.
It is a great way to honor everybody. I'm just saying.
Yep. Anyone else?
One question. Did you get the article together?
It's almost completed, I'll get it out tomorrow.
Because I mean, that could help us for next year,
Yeah, I'll finalize the
the
edits.
building and commercial things. And we're gonna be able to collect some fees.
This is in regards to the RFP that we voted on 2 months ago to identify a third-party building inspector.
We gotta, I mean, I think we should definitely have that moving,
Yeah,
so we can get that out.
Yep.
And
definitely.
that's something we need to make for decisions coming in the next year also, so we gotta go on that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get it out tomorrow.
Any question, anyone on the bond?
Which
will, assess bond for?
Oh, no word yet. No, we've been focusing on getting myself bonded, and reach out to them again about it.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a significant amount of money. That
It is,
possibly-
it is.
That we can recoup that money.
I actually spoke with our contact at Brentwood Bank, and he thought we recuperated some of the money already, but I don't think we have. I don't know either.
I'm not.
I don't think we've recouped any money.
So I'll also reach out to the bond company tomorrow about that too. So
I think that's something we need to, it's money that can come back to the borough.
it would be great. Yep.
Okay, I need
You
a
got a question?
question.
I do.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The public meeting for the budget You mentioned that it will be next Thursday, but not a time? Is there time?
I would think, I mean, I would preference of time. Well, let me ask a quick question. Does the council want to meet before the public meeting, or do you have a preference on that? Because I can always push the public meeting back until after Thanksgiving as well. What does the council want to do?
What was the question?
So we're probably gonna push it back to after Thanksgiving. I'll get it out to the public about when it is, and I'll get a timeline.
Question was, do we want to meet before we have a public meeting on the budget?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that was a question.
Right.
I think it sounds good.
So let me ask you this, and the council, since you're all here, when do we want to meet?
What would the meeting consist of? Preparing the
Every
budget.
basically final inputs from the council on what they want the budget to look like.
And then certainly the public they're gonna look at that and bring anything they might wanna talk about. So then we'd have to readjust, we may have
Yeah,
to
of
readjust
course.
again after that meeting. So that meeting is important to get in so that we can
Right.
have the public's input, and then we can meet again after that and change anything.
We could instead have the council meet next Thursday instead of the public meeting. That'll give you time to talk to maps. And then the week after Thanksgiving, the first week of December, we could have a public meeting. And that'll give us a chance to discuss any final things at the workshop and then vote on the actual budget of the council meeting in December. So I would think we can plan for any ideas on when we want to do a public meeting? The week of December?
First is a Sunday.
I mean, we could do it on, keep it consistent, have it on a Tuesday, so people know that there's always meetings on Tuesday.
That'd be
So the
third?
Yeah. All right, any problem with including a public meeting on December 3rd at 6:30?
He canceled the meetings.
Guys,
Oh, Jesus.
go ahead, Dave.
December 3rd, 6:30, Tuesday? Problems? Okay, that's the answer. December 3rd is the public meeting for the budget, 6:30.
And what day are we gonna be talking about?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday,
Next Thursday?
yes.
Thursday or Tuesday?
Thursday.
Thursday, next Tuesday.
So that's
Our
the
regular
public.
meeting's Tuesday, we're having on Thursday.
Next Thursday, well, we have a council meeting next Tuesday.
Yes.
So then 2 days later, we can have a council discussion about the budget.
Budget.
So that Thursday, that would be the 21st. What time do we want to do that?
When do you want, 6:30?
6:30? Is that okay, council?
Yes.
Council?
Mhm.
6:30?
I'll send out a follow-up email,
All right.
and we'll get the information for both meetings on the website and listed publicly.
Good. And so the Thursday meeting on the 21st will be, the public will be invited as well, and December 3rd, they will be invited as well, right? Because the public has to be invited
Yeah,
anytime
invited.
council is meeting, so.
I'll have it all publicly posted for both
Right.
meetings.
Right. And then, do we have to advertise that?
I'll advertise them both.
Okay, very good. Good job.
One thing that I forgot to mention is, and I'll probably be meeting with Glenn and I'll probably David on this, and I made up a little committee on the holiday lights. So our light up night. Of course, it'll be the Friday after Thanksgiving?
The day after Thanksgiving,
No,
the following.
the following Friday. That'll give us enough time. Yeah, and I'd like to make that our light up night here at the Borough Building.
Right.
And I think we have some, supposedly, I may have some donations coming. I want to see if they're any good first. I may have some donations coming in. Some people that have some things they told me they'd have for us.
What time would that be?
We're gonna do our light up night, we usually do it at 6 o'clock. And then, will the fire hall host Santa and stuff, Glenn again? Okay, so then we'll go into the fire hall where Santa will be, and we'll have some hot chocolate and cookies, and I may add something else to it this year too. So that's I just wanted to put that out there. I forgot all about it till now. Not that I forgot about it, I'm thinking about it, but I just forgot to bring it up. And the other thing is, I don't know if anyone's saw what's happening, but there's a group of mayors in Allegheny County that joined together. There's 21 mayors, and it's called the Mayor's Charitable Fund. And I'll be reaching out to some of you about that. I don't want to, there may be a donation from U.S. Steel that we can get to help some people. And and if anybody knows of anybody that needs help, even people in the room here, come up and see me after a meeting or get a hold of me in the next couple of days. We may be able to help some people. And it's just not a donation for Munhall. I mean, it's a donation for Munhall, but they're proportioning it out among the different communities of the mayors, so. And I'll be happy to talk to, council and anybody else on that.
Okay.
We had our first event Saturday night, and it was pretty good. It was a success.
All right, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Need a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
No seconds?
Second, sorry.
What's the gas for?
Have a good night. Thank you all for attending.